Right, okay. So this is my first episode of this podcast that I want to do. And I've started it because I just want to chat freely to some like-minded people. And so today I have my lovely friend Shannon on, and I'll put all her details in the link. But anyway, Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hello, everyone.
Thank you
I'm
for
good. How are
joining
you,
me.
Kaz? Thanks for having me.
I'm all right. Yeah. Thank you so much for just joining me on this chat. Like I said, I just want to chat to some people about stuff and how we're feeling. And what I found is there's not many people having like real conversations that I can find. Um,
Yeah,
it's all
I
either
agree.
kind of conspiracy theory stuff or it's too spiritual for me. So yeah, I just wanted to have you on and see where you're at and talk about where I'm at. And there's not really a plan for this conversation. I'm just gonna see what comes up and we'll chat about it.
Yep, we'll just wing it.
Yeah, just going it as always. So,
Yeah.
so how did you get to be kind of where you are today? Because I know we've been having similar kind of thoughts about certain things, maybe not everything, but
Yeah, I think that, well, I suppose the more spiritual work that we've done and gone down these different rabbit holes and things, it kind of just, um, I don't know, you start to research all these different avenues and then I guess with discernment, you figure out what's kind of working and what's not and what makes sense and what doesn't. And yeah, I think this past year there hasn't been enough conversation. Like you said, there isn't enough conversation going around with this sort of thing. You're right. We're just talking about this problem and that problem and all these issues in the world that are dividing us. Um, feeding into the the hand that's orchestrating the puppet. And you're right. There isn't enough conversations going on about just how everyone's feeling. And, I think if there's more of those conversations, perhaps we can come together instead of divide to kind of figure out what we're all going to do and deal with, how we're going to deal with everything.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
So for me, there was like a series of steps that kind of brought me out of where I was, maybe even a year or two ago. Firstly, it was the whole kind of ringing in the ear thing, and the ascension symptom, whatever that is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
started to just think, hang on a minute, this ringing in the ears does not feel good to me. And I started to tell it to stop. I don't know even know what that frequency is, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And
Did it work when you told it to stop?
yeah, it just stopped. I would say if this is not for my highest good, I do not consent, and it would just stop.
Good.
Um,
That's good.
which made me question a lot of what we were told about ascension and all this baloney that I believed. I don't think I do anymore. And then
Yeah.
and then it was my whole birth chart. I looked back on a birth chart that I had done 20 or more years ago, and so much of it was true now. It wasn't really at the time, but it is now. I guess the older you get, I don't know, you can look back and see how that's worked. And then I started to
Yeah.
think, oh my God, maybe a certain amount of this it's already written. That seemed kind
Yeah.
of
I mean,
obvious.
that's one theory that a lot of people that I've heard that it is already written, before we come here. So there's lots of different theories and beliefs. Like Christians won't may not believe that in different religions, and then there's um, lots of people who do think that it's already rewritten. It's the world is certainly looking very Truman Show. Do you remember the Truman Show? That was like the first reality show where the guy in the movie realized that, his whole life was just a movie and that all these people were watching him, you know,
Yeah.
and that was scripted to some degree. And it's feeling very Hunger Game-ish. And, it really is. And a lot of I remember like in your chat on Telegram that I'm a part of, a lot of this you were talking um, about why is there so much human suffering on the planet? Like, where does that come from? If you look back since the beginning of time, it's just been a series of suffering on this planet. And what's your theory about that sort of thing?
Well, that was definitely another awakening moment for me, just the amount of sessions that I had and realizing how much trauma there was. And everyone, to some extent, has a trauma or multiple traumas or traumas they don't remember that comes up in hypnosis. And it just got me thinking, well, nothing seems to get better. You think at this point we would have healed or moved on or learned something. I don't know. And then you hear all this stuff about karma, and I'm just like, really? It's kind of set up for trauma from when you're born.
Exactly. How can a baby have karma who was born to a terrible, abusive family? You know what I
Mm.
mean? There's aspects, I wrote down some different things because I think it depends on the stage of life you're in and things like that too. It goes back to how you were saying, is this all planned for us? Like, was this all planned out before we came here? And I think when you're older, free will has a lot to do with that sort of thing, your free will. But there's also circumstances that are out of your free will that can't be helped,
But
like
even
I
the free
mentioned
will,
about
Shannon,
idiots.
even the free will, I'm thinking, is the choice I'm making now already planned anyway?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
It definitely feels like that. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I totally get where you're coming from.
Like we're
Exactly.
having this
Because
conversation today, and did we plan this? Is this planned? Was this written down that we do this today? But no.
exactly. And that's, with divine timing too, or just timing, or just time, or whatever you want to say. Exactly. This is now. This is in the present, and getting your head around the idea that time doesn't exist, and then going, okay, we're in the present, we're in the now. And this is supposed to be happening now. Exactly. It's all quite bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it can really mess with your head if you think about it too much. I mean, I love having these conversations, but at the same time, I'm not trying to believe in any one thing at the moment.
Oh, same.
I'm just trying to keep my mind open to anything really and just talk about it rather than think, okay, I need to figure this all out because that's impossible.
It is. And I think that's where it all starts. You start to, I think for a lot of people, that they start to realize that reality isn't what they thought it was. Either they've had a mistrust issue with the government or a government body or an organization or something or someone that they've trusted. And then a light bulb moment, they have a light bulb moment where they go, oh, okay, maybe things aren't the way I thought they were. And then
Yeah.
it sends most people down this rabbit hole. It's been going on like this, not just in our generation, but previous generations as well. It almost seems like a cycle of generations because our parents' generation went through this with whatever was going on in the world then and previously and previously. And I was thinking today, like, why haven't we figured it out? Humanity's been on this planet for how many years? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's controversy there too, isn't there? I'm like you, I just keep an open mind about things as well because I think, especially now, we're seeing all these different extremes. We're seeing this one extreme of like Satanism on the one end, and then we have um, Christianity, which is almost getting to the point where I think they're shutting out so much, like that, not to put down Christianity or anything like that, because I have Christian friends who are, are really open-minded as well, but I have seen in our society this other extreme as well. I mean, just using Christianity as an example, where if we're not too careful, we're going to get into like Handmaid's Tale society, where it goes too far on the other spectrum as well. So, and I think there is some sort of design in that as well. The lady who wrote The Handmaid's Tale actually talked about it in an interview one time, that there are certain political parties in the US and politicians who are actually planning to, that's their agenda behind their whole plan, is to move into this Handmaid's Tale society. And when you start to look around at some of the stuff that's going on now, I can definitely see it. I've been able to see it for a couple of years now. And, I know you and we took hypnosis, we were trained in entity release and all this stuff. And I recently took a course from a friend who's Christian. Actually, I'm halfway through it. I still have 2 more Fridays to do this course on deliverance. Because we went to the beach one day, like months and months ago, and she started telling me about how she's doing deliverance. And she's been asked by some churches, like, to go to some churches around to do this. And so I decided to tell her about doing entity release or whatever, or how I trained in that. And then I'm having a little break from it at the moment, just studying and doing other things. And we started comparing notes about the different ways, and they're just so similar. And last week, so I've done 2 Fridays now with her. And it's not because I plan to practice in deliverance. It's because I wanted to know like a different perspective on the issue. And so I wanted to see what it was all about from the Christian point of view of what they were doing and why it's so taboo what other people are doing. And basically, it was really close to doing the same thing. A couple little differences, but I found that if you throw in some Christian words and say it's in the name of Jesus, and you say, like, you just throw some Christian terminology in there, it's like the same thing. Like they're doing the same thing, And then I've also been doing a psychology course this term. It's part of my naturopathy degree or whatever. And they're talking about similar things, but with energy rather than entities, so to speak, about stuck energy and this and that, and how to move that or remove it. And so this isn't like a topic that's new age or new that, some people would like to believe. This has actually been talked about by psychologists and that for a long time. Yeah. Anyway, I got a bit off track there.
No. It's so interesting. So the deliverance, how is that kind of performed? What are the similarities? Are they kind of under hypnosis at the time, or how do they do it?
Well, and see, that's another thing. You know how we were talking about hypnosis? I mean, who made up the word for what we do as hypnosis? Someone's decided one day to go, we're going to call this hypnosis, Is it hypnosis, or is it just something else that has been around since the beginning of time too? Just someone who brought it to popularity decided to call it hypnosis. Like Dolores Cannon, for instance, who has brought hypnosis to popularity. Her husband was a hypnotherapist who helped people quit smoking, for instance, under hypnotherapy. And it was through his clients where they discovered these other things going on with clients, right? And to me, I always was like, no way, I would never get hypnosis to stop this or stop that. Like, I don't, to me, I saw it more as like Jafar in the movie Aladdin with his staff, like putting this spell on someone and hypnotizing them to do what they wanted them to do type thing.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to realize that that's not what we're doing. You know, we're not doing that to people. And so is it really hypnosis or is it something else? Like you and I had talked about maybe calling it something else, like theta healing or something else, you know?
Yeah. Which I've started to do because I agree hypnosis has just got so many bad connotations to it. Like, and that, I guess that's projected through what you see on the TV, on all these shows where they get people to do crazy things.
Yeah.
But they take a while in picking their subjects for those shows. I think they have to be somnambulistic kind of people who will just go in straight away. Whereas for me, it's mostly just about, it's more like a deep meditation, really.
Exactly.
So is the deliverance thing like more like a meditation, or I don't.
It's well, when I asked my friend how she did, so she got asked to come up to Alice Springs, to this church that's up in like the top part of Australia and kind of like a remote area of Australia, this town. And she went to a church there. She thought there was going to be about 14 people showed up. Turns up, I think she said there was about 100 people show up. And I don't know exactly what she says. I'm going to learn next week and the week after exactly how it works. But, you know, she did some sort of sermon or something in front of the church. The people are listening to it. I don't really think they go into theta state, but I don't know. She says her little speech of whatever she says. And she just, you know, she says things like, she gets people to, you know, she'll do like a group and get them to, I forget what the word is she used, like repent or not repent, the word I'm looking for. Basically deny the spirit of, say, pharmakia, or deny the spirit, and she calls them the spirit of whatever the problem is. So the spirit of smoking or the spirit of drinking or the spirit of whatever, anger. And she gets like, you know, she says that to them. And she had like half the people in this room like coughing when she had said some of the things. Like she would say whatever she decided to say. So I cast out the spirit of pharmakia of the people of this room, or whatever she says to them. And she has like half the room coughing and some people even vomiting, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of things I've seen in movies, like when you have sermons and they cure the blind and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like, very, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Whipping people into a bit of a frenzy, do you think? Or
I think she didn't expect to have like half the room coughing at one time. And so she somehow had to put them in groups like of what their problems were and stuff like that. And she said it was really hectic because she didn't expect that many people to show up and start coughing all at one time.
That's amazing, isn't it? What you can do.
That'd be like us doing like a group entity release.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
What do you think the entities are, Shannon? Because I've only really had maybe one or two, maybe what seemed like kind of demonic type energies or entities. The rest have been either kind of lost souls or there's been a lot of AI. What's your experience with entity release?
I've had a lot of clients with demons, and it's funny because, yeah, like back to the deliverance thing, they believe it's all demons. They don't seem to think that it's other beings or things for the most part. They just solely think it's Lucifer, or Lucifer's demons that work for him, sort of thing. I've had clients with lots of demons that have had to be removed, and I find that really draining when you get that as a practitioner. It's fine, like I'm happy to help people, but I've had people with like 20 demons, in one session. I've had all kinds, like you have. um yeah, it's hard to say, like, I think the last few years for both of us, you and I, have been, we've learned a lot through our experiences about what things could be, and even like calling upon different beings that you might think are good. You start to do some research on different ones, and then you start to question that as well, like, who am I calling upon, or this and that. So I don't call upon anyone anymore, really, because of that reason.
I
And
just
what
think
do you
that,
think?
well, I think that what we've been told is just, it's all upside down here, it seems. So I don't know what to
Yeah,
believe or what to trust anymore, because good is bad and bad is good. And I'd just rather not even go into any of that, because I just don't know enough. I don't know
yeah,
what certain things is, what the certain things are. And it kind of takes me back to the ringing in the ears and the frequencies that come through, and how we're so manipulated in ways that we don't understand, if it's a
exactly.
frequency or who's coming through. It's like channeled messages as well. I was listening to some of those for a couple of years from 2020 to 2022, and then I just stopped, because where are those messages coming from?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of channeling either, as well, because I agree. Who are those messages actually coming from? Like, they might say that they're a being of light from this planet of whatever, but you don't know for sure.
I
Are
mean,
you gonna just trust it?
if I was a bad
Trust?
entity, I'm going to say I'm a spirit of light from heaven. I'm
Exactly.
not going to say, oh yeah, I'm some evil piece of crap.
Yeah, Lucifer actually means light. Lucifer was, if you look up, I looked up once about all the different fallen angels, and Lucifer actually was meant the angel of light, you know? And here we are like, oh, love and light, and it's always talking about the light. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what is the light? Why are we saying the light? Like, Lucifer was the angel, is the fallen angel of light.
Mm.
That's what his name means. And
And there's a theory that I read recently that I hadn't heard before, about the fallen angels and how they fell to come and help, rather than they were thrown out of heaven or wherever they're from. They fell because they wanted to help humanity. And I thought, well, that's a different take too. We just don't
it
know.
is, yeah. Exactly. We don't know. That's the thing. We don't actually know, do we? And why? And that what you just said brings me to the question too of, why are all of these like famous people, or people like Bill Gates, and people, you can like beep out anything that you don't want in the video, but why are they a part of the Church of Satan? Like,
Mm.
why are they a part of it? Why do they think the Church of Satan, like, why are they worshiping Satan? Like, why would anyone want to worship Satan if he was bad? I'm not saying he's good in any way. I'm just saying it's bizarre, right?
Mm.
It's bizarre. And
I'm
why
not
would you
even
want to?
sure like what Satan is meant to be. Is Satan in the Bible? I've never read the Bible really, so do they mention
Um,
Satan? Where did that even come from? The word.
yeah, I think it's in the Bible. He's mentioned in the Bible. Um, I can go get my Bible and have a look.
We could probably like Wikipedia or something. I don't know.
I know exactly. We'll have to look that one up, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. But you can we can still do what we're doing without doing all that, and that's what you've been doing, hasn't it, Kaz? Like
Yeah,
with your clients and
I'm
all
just
that.
interested in healing people's traumas and trying to empower them. Even the whole past life bit, we call it past life. I'm not sure I've had many past lives either.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, to be honest. I can't be 100% sure about that either. And I can't be sure that when I've gone into a past life regression that I'm even going into a past life. Like
Mm,
you're experiencing it like it was a past life, and we're getting all these feelings while we're in the theta state experiencing it. But is it like, or are we experiencing something else? It's hard to know exactly, isn't it?
mm.
What do you think about that?
I think for me, I would say 60% of the people I see, there's a message contained in what they're seeing that they have to kind of unravel and unpack. It's almost like it's a way for their consciousness to show what they need to work on.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of it
Yeah.
is the state of your consciousness and what you need to do to help yourself. Because they're
Yeah.
always kind of linked to what's going on in their life right now, too.
Yeah. I think it's always like pretty much every session like are always relevant, the message that comes to through to the client's life, which is beautiful, really. Like that's really good that it is, because they can be really helpful to what people are dealing with now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I even like the term past life. So we don't like hypnosis. We don't like the term past life. Need to come up with a whole new name.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. Is it a parallel life even, Like people are like, no, it's not past life, it's parallel life. What is it?
No idea. I really have
Or are
no idea.
we, maybe it's like some sort of remote viewing or travel to have, maybe we're just like our energy is being sent out to have another experience of something that's relevant to what we're going through if it isn't a past or parallel life. Like the thing is that we're constantly learning all these new things, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know the truth. Nobody does. And people need to be aware of that. Like when you're listening to other people's podcasts and things, and someone says that they have the answer and this is how it is. And like we've heard some ridiculous stuff over the last couple of years, like like I remember a couple of people saying, "Oh, there's all the entities are gone. They're just
Yes.
gone off
I've
the
heard
planet.
that
No more.
too.
There's nothing negative left on the planet." It's like, really? Have a look around. Like, well,
I
where
know.
are you? What planet are you on? Because I'm on Earth, and all you need to do is have a look around and
That's it. We're going to
have
raise
a
our
look at your own
vibration
life.
and everything's going to be better. And yeah, I've heard all the entities have gone too. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What
So,
drugs are you on?
people.
Can I have some, please?
Yeah, exactly. I'll take some of that. If your life is so perfect and there's nothing negative left here, I'd like some of that, please. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been doing this psychology course and I've learned quite a lot. And I learned about this therapy called, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Gestalt therapy. Um, and here's the thing too, right? I was like not really open to psychologists and the whole psychology thing because I felt like a lot of people put psychologists into this category of you could go to any psychologist and they're going to have the answer for you. And what I've even learned from just doing this little like introductory course on psychology and how it relates to clients that'll have an naturopathy and things like that is that there's so many different theories uh, in psychology itself that psychologists all like a lot of them have different theories about life in general, right? And so you're going to get a diversity of psychologists of who you're going to go to who are have like varying beliefs just like anyone else. And like you'll have a couple, who need like marriage. They think, "Oh, well, let's go to therapy and fix our marriage." Well, they just make an appointment with any therapist. You don't know them, you don't know their beliefs, their theories about life and stuff. Just because they went to school for psychology doesn't mean they're going to help you out because they might have a completely different theory on life than you do, right? And I've met so many people who've like gone to couples therapy and it's done nothing. Like it hasn't really helped with their relationship. And so here I am taking this psychology course and I'm learning about all these different theories. Like Sigmund Freud had like a different theory to this person, and then there's this person and that person. Like there's just learned about all these different psychologists who all had varying theories. But there was this one therapy, the guy's last name is Gestalt, so that's why it's called the Gestalt therapy. And it kind of reminded me of what we do a little bit, but it takes the whole takes like all the, I guess it doesn't really matter what you believe in, whether you believe in Satan or this or that or whatever. And basically, it helps the client to gain awareness of what they are experiencing, doing in the here and now. And they do kind of similar to what we do, but they ask the client to close their eyes. And then they get the client to imagine, like, let's just say the client is having an issue with smoking cravings and they can't stop. They want help with that. They So they get the client to sit there and they close their eyes, and then they get the client to imagine that they're at home and they have a craving to smoke. So they're kind of putting them into that meditation state in the chair there as well. Then they get the client to explain the circumstances leading up to going outside for the cigarette. Like they have them really relive the situation and think, like put yourself in that situation. What's causing where you are feeling like you want to have a cigarette? What made you want to have that cigarette in that moment? Did something trigger you? What was it? And then that just like gets them in touch with the reasons behind why they, you know, maybe using cigarettes is like not the best example, but it could be a trauma they had. You could sit them in the chair and then like make them go through that, like there's some maybe a childhood trauma or something like that, and do it in the same sense. And yeah, it just kind of reminded me of what we do. And it isn't a new thing. What we're doing is recognized in psychology for lots of years already. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, and I think people just need to learn the tools, right, to kind of help themselves in a lot of ways. It would be nice to get
Yeah.
to the point where we didn't really need to go and see anyone. We just had these tools available and we would kind of, I don't know, the mind is just such a powerful thing, but we have no idea really how it works, or we have
That's
some
it.
ideas, but And again,
That's
this is
it.
why I just don't use anything outside of myself or on myself or my clients, because we just need to learn the tools to do these things
Exactly.
ourselves.
This is the kind of stuff they should have been teaching us in school.
It really is. I
Not
mean,
like calculus and geometry and
how
stuff that
much
we're not going to
better
even
that,
remember
well, the
a week
world's never
later.
going to get better if we don't teach kids these tools, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there was this other thing, like regarding all the suffering that we've been seeing in the world. There was this other pyramid. It's called the pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you think of like this pyramid, like of the things that we need and the problems, all the suffering that we see in the world, the bottom of the pyramid as number one, they've put, you know, physiological needs. So things like, you know, our basic needs like food, clothing, you know, shelter. Second would be safety needs, like your next level up, so that, you know, that's a safe, secure home or like a safe, secure place to live or be. And then like after that would be uh belongingness and love, like from other people. And then after that, like the pyramid goes on. Then you get on to things where you grow, you know, you can be creative in yourself and you grow as a person and you know, feel good in society or in yourself, and comfortable to go on and do other things. And like if one of those things that I just mentioned is just not there, you know, it's just so hard in life to get on. And I think the people that are the government and the people that are orchestrating this nonsense, they know this and they're doing whatever they can to pull one of those things I just mentioned, categories that I mentioned, just out from beneath us. You know, if you look at pretty much most people you know in your life and you go, do they have all those things? The cost of living alone, groceries, there's families that are struggling, that are homeless. Like it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We
And
need
then I
very little, really, don't we?
Yeah, but those are like the building blocks, and if you don't have those, then you create stress, and then from stress comes a whole bunch of different illnesses,
But it
and you
seems
can
so
become sick.
simple and so straightforward. It's just like, oh, I'm so tired of it.
Me too. Like
I'm
beat
just
me up, Scotty.
like, put me in charge. I could probably fix a lot of stuff. You could even put a bunch of 5-year-olds around a table and they could fix a
Do a
lot of
better job.
problems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so rigged. Like it's just so rigged. Like why are we here? Why like, you know,
Yeah.
rigged.
And it just makes me so angry and just so fed up. I'm just so tired of all of it.
Yeah, so
I'm
am
not
I.
depressed. I'm not depressed. Don't worry. I'm just, it seems so simple to fix it. Anyway, what else did you have on your list you wanted to talk about, Shannon? Is there?
That's it. I just wanted to ask you about your gardening and your plants and all that
Yes.
stuff and like what you have learned, like how you've grown from the last year or two from, you know, gardening and all your plants and everything that you've been learning about.
So I got to the point in my sessions where there was so much trauma, and it was, I mean, I love what I do, but I was just like, you know what? I need to take some time for myself. So
Yeah.
I started to learn about plants. I'm doing more work there. I really want to do an RHS horticultural course, which would start in September because it's the school year. But it's so vast. I mean, I don't think you could ever learn all of it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so huge. Even just learning some of the Latin names for plants, you know?
Yes, I know. That's hard to learn all the Latin names. If you got used to calling them by that instead of the other name, you might get used to it eventually.
But there's thousands upon thousands, and it's going to take a long time. But I needed to do that for myself and just be around nature, be around plants, be around people that love plants because plants just make everyone happy.
They do. They're magic. Like they are like not into like spells and witchcraft and all that stuff, but they are magic. Like they homeopathy pills, for instance, have like the tiniest minute amount of plant in them, in like the sugar pill or whatever, and you can take those and it will help. People have taken them and it has helped their heal them.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me, you
Yeah,
know.
me too. Well, you know a lot about plants too. You've been
I'm
studying them for
sure,
quite a while.
yeah, my lecturer, like my teacher expects us to know all the Latin names. It's like makes the course that much harder,
Yeah.
you know?
So have you finished all your studying with
No,
plants?
it's been slow because I'm homeschooling my kids and it's it's slow, but I'm getting there. I'm just doing whatever I can and I'm not in a hurry, to be honest. I mean, I'd love
Mm.
to be finished, but I think doing it slowly, I'm enjoying each course as well. So I have two herbal medicine courses starting in beginning of March. So I'm excited for that. And then I'll still have a couple other of more advanced herbal medicine courses. And then I'll have a bunch of homeopathy courses to do and iridology with the eyes and a bunch of other ones still. It's
You're always
even though it's a
studying.
4 year, yeah, even though it's a 4 year degree here, it's like there's a lot of courses in that 4 years that they've crammed in there in that 4 years. So it's a lot. It's like a lot compared to just a bachelor degree of say something much simpler, I guess. Yeah, they've just crammed a lot of information in those 4 years to learn. Yeah,
But I think you
but I'm sure
mentioned,
there's tons of plants that you know about that I certainly don't know about all of them. That's for sure. Like you said, there's way too many to learn about all of them.
yeah. And then obviously every country has a completely different environment with a whole
Yeah.
new learning. So I'm just focusing on the UK. Um, but what you mentioned then was just really important about just doing it slowly. And I think that's key right now is just for everyone to slow down, you know?
Yes, that is something I've definitely really has hit me this past year. I was just always doing too much.
Mm,
And I think people like my family in Canada and that's like, oh, she's stay-at-home mom, like she lives in a tropical place, like she must be on a holiday all the time. But I am always busy,
yeah.
like just very, very busy. And I just had to go, whoa, I'm doing way too much. And I've just learned that the simple life is better. The more things that you add into your life, like I got fish for my kids, for instance, this year, just adds more chores, more responsibility. And I'm like, why did I get these fish?
Because they
That was
probably
supposed
said, Mom, we'll look after it, we'll feed it. And
to
it's probably you that does most of it.
exactly. They did the same thing. Like my family, like, guilt tripped me and made me feel bad into getting dogs. And I wasn't ready for them, but I got them anyway.
Mm,
And I think that you shouldn't get dogs unless you're really really, prepared for it because like fish, dogs, like all these things we go, oh yeah, it's great, let's get a pet. And they're just so much extra chores, responsibility, and that, you know. But there's things like gardening that are just like it's a joy. Yes,
Mm.
it's extra work to garden, but it's worth it because it's like a hobby. It's a joy.
Yeah, it's getting to that busy time of year here for gardening and planting seeds, and I just love it. I'm in my element now.
That's good.
Well,
I think
listen,
there's
shall
something
we?
really healing
There
about it,
is.
eh?
Shall we end the podcast thing now and then just carry on chatting?
Sounds good.
Um,
Sounds good.
I'll stop recording. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you, Shannon, for joining me. It
Thank
was
you for
really
having
cool.
me.
Right, I need to stop.